Good afternoon, Chancellor. So I have the distinct pleasure of sharing in my Senate district the chair of the New York City, the City Council chair of the Education Committee, Mark Traeger, an individual you know well. And he could not resist the opportunity to live vicariously through me right now and ask you a couple of questions about some issues, and of course I have to accommodate him. So he's concerned, and we're all concerned, about the fair student funding that he worked very hard on achieving for New York City. So what do you think the amount is necessary to get you there, to get 100% of the schools with a fair student funding entitlement? That's one question. The second one is, I've heard many of my colleagues talk about the number of homeless children in our school system, the number of young people who are also in foster care. And we know the effect of trauma on children and how it affects their ability to learn. So what I'm interested in hearing is your thoughts on increasing the number of social workers and guidance counselors to help deal with some of these kids, because we're seeing in some of those schools a high rate of suspension, and you cannot back out the effect of trauma on children and how it affects their learning and their ability. So two things: fair student funding, and what's the likelihood that we can increase the number of social workers and guidance counselors?
Thank you, Senator. So I'm going to ask our Chief Financial Officer to answer the first, and then I'll tackle the second.
Thank you. So one of the benefits of the school budget transparency reform required by the state is that it very clearly shows that we are, in order to raise all schools to 100% of the fair student funding formula, which again is our local New York City weighted student funding formula, it would be $750 million approximately.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
$750 million. And you want to?
Yes. So we are actually working, we've just added 100 social worker positions that will be working, as I mentioned previously, working in shelters, but also working with families. We, again, as we receive more and more resources, we are going to target our most vulnerable populations, of which students in temporary housing is one of those populations. So we are very, very willing to do that. It's just a matter of money.
Well, that's good to hear. And finally, I know my other colleague, Assemblywoman Malliotakis, raised the issue of UPK, the number of, we share the district together. And I know that while we've invested a lot of money over the past few years on UPK age 4, now we're adding UPK age 3, and you made mention of the fact that we have full-day kindergarten in New York City. The truth is we're not required to provide kindergarten seats, and it's not mandatory. I've often believed that we should do that. We should require kindergarten seats, but how many kindergarten seats do we have in the public school system, and could they accommodate all the kids that are in the pipeline in UPK and pre-K?
Yeah, so the specific number, we'll get back to you on that specific number, but we do know that we can accommodate all of the students that are now in the pipeline, that are coming through pre-K and 3K, that we can accommodate them. One of the exciting data points this year is that the first cohort of students that went through our pre-K are hitting 3rd grade this year. So very quickly, we're going to be able to see what kind of an effect that early education is having on literacy rates in our city. I'm practically giddy. I'm so excited because we know that the literature is rich in terms of what an impact that makes.
I'm looking forward to those numbers too. And finally, I know this, one of my colleagues raised the issue of charter schools. I am, as I always said, agnostic about charter schools. I believe that we should support our children regardless of where they go to school. So whether they go to Catholic school, private school, charter school, public school, we should do everything possible to elevate them. I am somewhat concerned, though, not necessarily about the first time we met was in Brighton Beach, and you indicated to me at the time that you felt the same way. I'm a little concerned, though, about the administration, I should say the mayoral administration, which has been openly hostile to charter schools. And I would hope that moving forward, if we're going to renew mayoral control or school governance, that we rethink that relationship. At the end of the day, these are all of our children, regardless of where they sit in a classroom, and it would be nice if we stopped fighting over it.
Thank you, Senator. I will tell you that I just visited a charter school this past week. I visit charter schools. I see and I participate. I have been on the record of saying that they're all our students in New York City. But as the chancellor of the New York City Public Schools, I'm going to defend our schools.
And well, you should.
And
there shouldn't be a contradiction between the two.
And I think that, when we work together, we will work together. But when someone attacks our schools, I'm going to defend our schools. And again, I just want to make clear that the children belong to all of us.
Fair enough.
Thank you.